Hi, Codeweaver here. I am going to play a little bit of Crying Suns. I started a stream of this yesterday, I believe it was, and I played through Chapter 4 and unexpectedly actually managed to get through it. That was a semi blind playthrough because I've never been through Chapter 4 before. I managed to unlock a new ship, I got to a new chapter, and I guess that means that technically speaking, at this point, my finishing this game off is blind. So go figure. Um, Now, when I started up Crying Suns, I had the intention of just playing through since Chapter 1, and it would have been a non-blind playthrough, but I couldn't figure out how to do that easily, and I'm probably pretty thick, because I'm sure there's probably a pretty easy way to completely reset everything, but I'm just going to continue on where I'm going, because I'm having fun trying to finish off this game, and at this point, I'm going to try a new ship. It's likely to be a disaster, but mostly because I don't know what I'm doing with the new ship. Yeah, so the only gotcha is that I have to go and collect some food I'm having delivered partway through the stream. And when that happens, I will stop the stream or pause it and then start it back up again when I have that sorted. But that's in about 45 minutes ish, and I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. In the meantime, though, let me just double check that my audio levels are good. Yep, audio levels appear to be good across the stream. And so, without further ado, let's pop right back into Crying Suns. Now, basically speaking, each chapter seems to be implemented as sort of a vignette in and of itself. So, although I'm doing a new run, I'm doing a new run, I guess, into a new chapter. And so each chapter is considered a run in and of itself. I can't do a chapter selection at the moment. That's okay. So I'm not actually starting the game from scratch. I am going into Chapter 5. So spoiler territory, everyone. All right. Right. So this is us being woken up from clone / cryo sleep, whatever, for our new attempt at a run. Now we know that. Well, I guess we'll just start here. We know that these robotic fellows here have apparently been trying to get us through to a plan of their own devising, and we're just starting to become aware of what of the fact that this may not be specifically about the Emperor in quite the way we thought. I'm not going to go into the whole backstory of this, partly because I don't actually remember a lot of the backstory from the first several chapters, so I'm going to get it wrong. Civilization involving an empire, very much post sort of Earth. The empire was at least partially handled by artificial intelligences, the construction of which was tightly regulated. And for some reason, at some point, somebody shut all of the machines down all at once, and civilization essentially collapsed. So we're just going to continue where we left off from the last game, and hopefully we will catch up to how this is going to make sense. Because, yeah. I can remember, not everything, only a moment. I was in Oberon's palace. He... No. Yes. Executed me. The original Idaho, for not bombing Ganima. And there was a woman there, Rebecca. Okay, so this is stuff that we figured out in the last session, is that we always thought we were some sort of a war hero. And so it's actually it's actually new to wake up in this cycle knowing that the Emperor actually had me executed for making some sort of an ethical decision that the Emperor didn't agree with. Not sure where this is going, though. Rebecca, though, I think is our wife from that period. Yes, the original Idaho did not bomb the survivalists on Ganima. He refused, so Oberon executed him, in front of Rebecca. So I think Rebecca's our wife. Oberon's the Emperor. The survivalists appear to... so they're a faction who wanted to go back to pre-artificial intelligent robot days, because apparently humans have lost their humanity a bit. But they are also perhaps aware of Earth, and Earth is not spoken of much anymore, so there's a whole hidden Earth hiding of the past of Earth in this story. We saw a bit of that from the last session. It was the first time I think that was mentioned, was the last stream I did of this. So, getting back into it. But we've been so loyal to him. I've died hundreds of times in his name. The name of the man who killed me. That other Idaho we encountered, he was telling the truth. All of those deaths of mine, it's all been for nothing. Everything I believed is a lie. So we've been attempting to get back to the Emperor to, I guess, save the Emperor or restore the robots, but we thought we were the Emperor and I were, I guess, loyal to each other because I was a serious force in his army, high ranking in his army. And you knew I never bombed Ganima. You knew what he did to me. You lied to me. I did, yes. It's what happened to all the other Idahos. They all remembered, not everything. The inhibitor prevented a total memory recollection, but they remembered enough, the original execution, and that ruined everything. Now, you will finally tell me the truth, machine, or I will end you. You're right. It is time you knew. I will tell you everything you want to know. All right. So we're gonna get a big sort of story dump here. Without further ado, who was he? That other Idaho. He was from the first Strand A Idahos. Strand A? The original Idaho clones. The first clone sent out into the Outer Rim 20 years ago when the Omni shut down. You've been sending us out for 20 years? Yes, it wasn't long after we did that. Strand A started recalling this memory of your execution, despite the presence of your inhibitor. Upon remembering, some in Strand A came undone. Some fought their Calibans. Some were terminated by their Calibans. Some committed suicide. Some disappeared. Some did many of those things. The Idaho we encountered was one of the ones that got away. Alright. Strand A Idahos. What did you do with Strand A's? After countless experiences with Idahos like the one we just encountered, we terminated Strand A, tinkered with the inhibitor, and created Strand B. This took us a few years. You are Strand B, and all was going well. Sure, you were a little paranoid, but we could live with that. Then we ran into that Strand A, or should I say he ran into us. But why lie to me? Why didn't you tell me at the start that the Omnis had shut down 20 years ago, and that I was not the first clone? You had to believe that you were the first clone, the first of Strand A, so that you'd ask as few questions as possible. We worried that the more you knew, the more questions you would ask, and the sooner you would destabilize psychologically, hence our encouragement not to investigate your past. It was very important you did not destabilize for yourself, for the crew, and for other versions of me. We needed you capable of saving a collapsed empire. You feel no guilt for what you've done to all the Idahos, the Ozus, and Lynches, sending us out from Gehenna to die over and over for a lying emperor? No, I do what I've been programmed to do. That is all. Morality doesn't enter into it. You should know that by now. What other questions do you have, Admiral? Okay. Ask why Caliban used the inhibitor on other crew members. Sure, why not? But why did you use the inhibitor on other crew members? Because many had anti-Oberon, anti-Imperial memories of their own. What made the inhibition process a bit trickier was that some also had memories of your rebellion or of the anti-Imperial leanings of other crew members. Some served together Some served with you. But you're not going to tell them anything about this, Admiral. And why not? Because doing so will endanger the mission. Do you really think a crew full of individuals who despise their Emperor will help you reactivate the Omnis? Will help you save what remains of the human population? Help you see your wife again? They might. They might not, and you can't risk it. But I have to tell them something about this. Other Idaho, they saw him. You are their Admiral, and at the end of the day, they'll do whatever you ask. That's how they've been trained. But if you insist, a partial truth should work. A partial truth? Yes, which is that there were other Idahos, other clones before you that malfunctioned. Saving the future of humanity is a tremendous amount of pressure, after all. Dying and watching your crew die thousands of times, over and over. Tell them I didn't tell you because I was worried it might lead to your unraveling, and theirs as well. By this point, they've seen hundreds of themselves perish. Knowing there were hundreds more shouldn't affect them too much. Don't say anything about how you really died. There's no need to complicate things. Oh, this is getting messy. What other questions do you have, Admiral? Alright, ask why Oberon executed the original Idaho. Why did Oberon execute the original Idaho? Me. You'll have to ask him that yourself, but it appears he was not pleased his orders were refused. Well, no doubt. But why did the original refuse those orders? I think I know why, but I don't know exactly why myself, but it seems the original you was seriously doubting Oberon and the Imperial cause, had been for quite some time, and did not think killing the survivalists and wiping out Ganima was a justified action. No, and with good reason. That was a crime against humanity. What other questions do you have, Admiral? Okay, so we've got an ethical rebellion by a general against his Emperor. Okay. But we are going to be required to lie about it to the crew. More questions. I know what I need to know about this. What other questions do you have, Admiral? Ask how you receive the other Idaho's memories. Question. How did I receive the other Idaho's memory? Knowing that I would automatically download his memories and send them back to Gehenna if he was close enough when he died, that Idaho crashed his ship into ours, at which point I merged his memories into this newest version of you. We had no choice. That's how we're programmed. I have to hand it to him. It was a clever thing to do, but I wonder if only a madman could have gone through with such an idea. What other questions do you have, Admiral? How many other Idahos exist? Or have been? Hundreds. Hundreds! We started the very day the Omni shut down, the day the FoldNet shut down, just as we had been programmed to do, roughly 8,000 days ago. The sectors being what they were, they are now. Some didn't even last a single day. But in all of our trying, we have never been as close as we are now. We have yet to solve the mystery of who shut down the Omnis, and we have yet to turn them back on, but we've never gotten so far. And are there others like him, other Idahos in the clusters? The truth is, if they haven't all died off, yes, it's possible. And why haven't you run into anyone who encountered other Idahos? Okay, but why, if you sent out so many Idahos, and some who might still be alive, haven't we run into anyone who's encountered these other Idahos? And why didn't the cluster bosses recognize us? That is a darn fine question. We're talking about extremely vast clusters and extremely vast sectors. The chances that these individuals would have encountered other Idaho, another NS Odysseus, are extremely slim. Well, no, not really, because assuming we're on the same mission, then we would probably have made similar choices and gotten to the same bottlenecks, I guess. That seems odd. But you're forgetting we did run into some of the same people. There were clues that they had run into previous Idaho clones. You just didn't pick up on them. You couldn't have. Actually, that could actually be true, because a few times we were sort of recognized for who we were, by name or by reputation. Maybe. Be interesting to go back through the chapters now and see if I can spot instances where it was more clear than not that has been the case. Alright. Just monitoring my food situation. No, we're good to go. As for the cluster bosses, it's possible the other Idahos avoided them. There are other routes to take, other folders and hubs. A faulty paranoid Idaho might have avoided cluster bosses, especially if he no longer cared about saving the Empire. What other questions do you have, Admiral? Actually, this is interesting because, well, I mean, it doesn't explain me getting to a chapter boss. And I know I've died from them a couple of times. I don't recall whether or not they reacted to me getting back to them. They might have. Oh, I'm curious. Well, seeing as it's likely I'm going to die this chapter by something... No, anyway, we'll find out. Anyway, what other questions do you have, Admiral? Ask the real purpose of Gehenna. Tell me the real purpose of this planet, Caliban. The purpose of Gehenna has always been to save the clusters. We have always been, I believe, the Empire's ultimate contingency plan, just as I said. But I don't suspect we were created for a scenario such as this. You talk like you don't know. I don't. I am in the dark myself. What I suspect is that we were created for a situation in which the machines turned against us. Well, against humans and the Empire. When the Omni shut down 20 years ago, the FoldNet and the folders did too, and that was our cue to start sending clones out into the Outer Rim. I suspect that our objective shifted without us necessarily being aware of it when we failed to encounter hostile Omnis. Our original objective might have been to find and destroy Omnis, but when we failed to find any to destroy, we found ourselves drawn to trying to turn them back on and vanquishing Imperial enemies who had come into power with the clusters in the meantime. And why were you chosen to be a part of this? Alright. Why did he choose the original Idaho to be a part of this project? Was it punishment for disobeying him? Did he want to turn him, into his slave? Punishment? I don't know. That's a question only he can answer. But what we're sure of is that he chose the original in part because he was the best. That part was never a lie. The original, you, was the strongest, bravest, most willful, the only one capable of possibly defeating the machines. You were exactly the admiral he wanted for the project, I suspect, even when you disobeyed his order in Genema, so he took those memories away via the inhibitor, showing that if you ever remembered what had happened, you'd rebel, knowing that if you... Okay. Yet, despite the inhibitor, this memory found a way to re-materialize. Perhaps because it was the most painful memory you had. What other questions do you have, Admiral? Okay, that was a lot of material and a lot of monotonic talking. I kind of regret a little bit starting to do that, but oh well. In for a penny, in for a pound. You have yet to ask what I thought you would have. You have yet to ask what I thought you would have by now. Don't worry, Caliban. I'll ask it yet. Don't you worry. Oh, Lord. Okay. More lore. Asked to receive all the original Idaho's memories. Okay. And this memory tech, this inhibitor, is it still active inside me? It is. That's why you still can't remember everything. That's why your memory is limited to your execution, and why your one memory of your wife is of her in the moments before your death. Then remove the inhibitor machine now. Given how painful your present memories are you sure you want others? Machine! I can't. I'm not programmed for that. Only Oberon can tell me to turn off the inhibitor. You'll answer me, machine. And tell me why I shouldn't kill you. I am tempted. You have effectively killed hundreds of me, have you not? I should kill hundreds of you. Not sure that follows, but okay, I'd probably be pissed anyway. I thought you might ask that. All I can say is, because you need me, because you need us. Need you? The machine that's told me nothing but lies, that has sent me out to die hundreds of times. I need to tear you apart is what I need to do. You're too angry to think clearly, I guess. Without me, you can't use the folders. Without us, you can never see your wife again. She could be dead for all I know. Yes, but you can't say for certain. Also, we share a common goal, though for different reasons. As much as you may now detest Oberon, and myself for that matter, you still want to save what remains of humanity. So do I. But not because I really want to, because I have to. So the way I see it, you would be acting against your own interest if you killed me. It's kind of blackmail, but he's probably not wrong. Well, you could kill this particular version of me if you wanted to, but I have my replacements. You will not want to kill all of us, nor will you be able to. I may kill you yet. Fine, if that makes you feel better, go ahead and kill this version of us, but I must tell you something. What is it? If you try to kill Oberon when we see him, I will have to stop you. I have been programmed to protect him. Do you understand? Well, that's kind of some foreshadowing, most likely. I understand, Machine. You'll answer me, Machine. What about Rebecca? What more can you tell me about Rebecca? I know nothing beyond what we have learned on our journey, and nothing beyond your one memory of her. Your two loved ones. You two loved one another very much, that's obvious. But I have a feeling you will learn more about her in the next cluster, Admiral. Call it Omni-Intuition. Yeah, sure. Alright, guess we continue on with Caliban. As much as I want to end you, Machine, you're right. I am more interested in turning the machines back on and helping the people of these clusters. Right, and in seeing Rebecca once more, if she still lives. Let us not forget about that. One last thing before we continue on. Remember what I said about Oberon. Try anything and I will be forced to stop you. I'll keep that in mind, Machine. Excellent. Now come on. Let's meet this Emperor of ours. Alright then. Probably about half an hour before food wanders in my direction, so let's see what we can do. So I said I was going to use the Hammer class. I suspect I'm not going to get the Void class. Yes, I'm going to complete Chapter 5. So what are its advantages? Well, so compared to Excelsior class, I notice I have one fewer squadrons available, and I can't put a lot of people in squadron system support. So the implication there is that the squadrons are going to be less important. Although I can add more squadron dogs. I just can't have... it's funny, in the last game I went squadron heavy, and I had an extra squadron system support, but I never picked up another officer. Either by questing or by purchasing them, so that was amusing. I'm in the position where, arguably, it's not going to matter if I do something similar in this, but where does this thing shine? So, looking down at the hull, we can go to more hardened hull, more hull integrity support. Is that true? Yes. We can go up another level in hull integrity support. We start out with more of it. We start out with more heat capacitors. So this one's meant to basically take a pummeling. What have we got in terms of subsystems? Okay, so subsystems, we can't get as good fuel scavenging efficiency, which means we're probably going to have to purchase more fuel more often. That's going to be a problem. We don't have any ground signal, so here we go. I have no possibility to retreat during an expedition. Well, I tend not to do that anyway, but I at least like the option of having one, so that's interesting. What about weapons? Nothing changes about the weapons. So the idea here is that we focus more on the hull and maybe on being able to survive a longer direct battle. That's perhaps interesting. What about the tech? The core tech is this. Battleship and allied units are immune to the direct damages of allied weapons. Okay, so I can use superpowered weapons that blanket an area or a line or regions. My own ships don't get hit. That's incredibly powerful because I can be indiscriminate with their use, at least positionally. Very, very advanced tech. When an allied, this is by the way, I guess one of what the last sector boss had. So when an allied unit is hit by an allied direct damage weapon, this unit gets either 100 DPS for it gets 100 DPS for 10 seconds, 100% DPS for 10 seconds. Critical fire. However, critical fire does not propagate, and allies' squadron speed is down by 15%. So I've got slower craft. I'm not sure what it means by critical fire does not propagate. I'll have to figure out what that means. I wonder if I can deduce it from gameplay without having to look it up. Anyway, so our base weapon is a plasma nuke, so we can basically pummel the crap out of a big region of space. We've got fighters and frigates, but no drones. It's okay, we'll pick up drones along the way. Probably going to go more weapons heavy, because of this additional power. So we're going to want officers that can handle weapons. So let's take a look here. Okay, I'm just double checking my phone. So here we go. Okay, so proximity of the people we have unlocked at the moment. Proximity defense deals 2 DPS to enemies adjacent to your battleship system cells. That's potentially useful because if they do get up to my ship and I can take that beating, this will help the ship do damage close up. And we got skills along that middle range, which is discretion and persuasion, so that's interesting. Of the remaining characters, we got hack and engineering, could be interesting for technical reasons. Apply regen to all squadrons in your deploy zone. That could be interesting because if I have enemies that are attacking my ship and I have the damage when the enemy crafter against my hull, this would help restore squadrons sent in to help deal with it. The other option is to go with hull critical repair, and that would give me piloting and demolition. I want both. We're going to take Frederick. Immune to health loss due to critical effects. Can repair even when locked. So critical effect repair speed is high, so that'll keep my systems online longer. It's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Shaima, but I want to find Richard Gabai or somebody equivalent to him further down the road, because that's incredibly useful. Okay. All right. Oh, here's some information. So. Skills used to resolve situations, planetary expeditions, and during events. Maximize the number of different skills you have. So, yeah. Systems compatibility. Hull, squadrons, and weapons. I was asking this question last game, so I'm glad I clicked this. These icons represent the battleship's main systems. An officer needs to be assigned to a system compatible with their special ability to use it. So let's make sure we do that. In the case of critical damages in a battleship system, All officers in the system will repair with no compatibility issues. Okay. So, some local alarm color in the background. Fun. Yeah. Anyway. Life in the big city. So here we go. So I'm gonna have to have him on Hull, and that's fine. So this guy I'm going to probably have on probably ships. So what are the different regions? Squadrons and weapons. Oh, interesting. So actually, squadrons or weapons would be appropriate for him. All right. Let's do the thing. The team is ready. Let's do this silliness. Aha! And this is exactly the point at which my food has arrived. So what I'm going to do is, because this is going to take probably about 10 minutes, I'm not going to throw up a screen or leave the recording running, but I'm going to do this in 2 parts. So expect me back in about 15 to 20 minutes. Not that anybody's following me in the chat room, but this will be broken up into 2 parts. So or at least 2 parts. So chapter 5 will have a part 1, and it will have at minimum a partial playthrough in part 2. So I will be stopping the stream, and I will see you shortly.